This episode of the Good Living Now podcast is sponsored by Joy. Now, if you're someone who suffers with erectile dysfunction like I did after going through prostate cancer, get you some Joy Mode. Now, what I love most about Joy Mode is that it's all natural without the side effects found in some prescription medications. Plus, Joy Mode helps with heart health and blood pressure, so it's all good. Now, for more information, visit usejoymode.com. All right, go ahead, get your Joy Mode. Welcome to the Good Living Now podcast, where we talk to real people about real change leading to real health. I'm your host, Harold Leffall, and today we're having a very powerful conversation with someone who overcame breast cancer. And guess what, y'all? She's 63 and did a 153-day juice fast. She's going to tell us all about her journey to not only surviving, but now thriving. Welcome to the show, Kelly Rochelle. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Harold. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year's to you.
Happy New Year. Yeah. 2025.
Yeah, it's the new year. And I was so inspired by your story and your journey, not only being a cancer survivor, which is major, but then I saw that you said you were 63 and you did 153-day juice fast.
Yes. I'm 64 now, but yeah.
Come on now. You don't look nowhere near 64. That juice is doing you well.
It is doing something. But yeah, I was 63 at the time that I did the juice, a 153-day juice fast. So you were right. But yeah, I've since turned 64, and I'm actually in the midst of when this airs, I'll be in the midst of a 90-day juice fast.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to do it again. I may end up going longer, but it's scheduled for 90 days.
Wow. So take us back. So you're a breast cancer survivor / thriver. How did you discover that you had breast cancer? What was going on, and how long ago was that?
Okay, so yeah, that was March of 2023, and I was 62, and I was actually in my bedroom, and my doctor called to give me the results of my biopsy. He actually called me on the phone, and I was in disbelief. He told me the results were positive. I had stage 3 invasive ductal carcinoma. It's a very aggressive and difficult to treat form of breast cancer. And it felt like a cold slap in the face. I really felt like I was taking a bullet. And I really felt like my body had betrayed me, honestly.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, you've ever felt that way, that your body betrayed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so before you got the diagnosis, were there any symptoms? What was going on before that?
So before that, I had a lump. It was my left breast. I had a little tiny pebble. It was on the outside of my breast. And I just ignored it. I didn't pay any attention to it. And then as I continued to ignore it, it continued to grow. And so finally it had grown to, I don't know, maybe, I want to say maybe bigger than a walnut or something. It was pretty big. And so it was just about to be, it probably sounds really vain, but it was March. So it was going to be, April was going to be coming up, and, summertime. And I like to wear, little cute tops and stuff like that. And I was like, this is getting in my way. It's not going to fit, so we've got to get rid of this thing. So I kept thinking it was going to go away, but ultimately it not only did not go away, but it got bigger. And so I said, let me go and, get them to just cut it off. Because I just assumed it was a cyst or something, something like that, because it was outside of my breast. I didn't think, I've only ever known breast cancer to be inside your breast. I never heard of it, it's sitting outside as if, there was this big pimple, like sitting like right there kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So that was not, to me, that was just some sort of a, something that just needs to be cut off, some sort of a cyst or what have you. And we got the biopsy done. And in fact, interestingly enough, the doctor did say, he said, I don't think it's a cyst. he said, it looks suspicious. So I'm like, okay, just tell me right away. He's like, no, this is what we're going to get it tested. And so, yeah, that's where I started the story with. him calling me to tell me the results, said, yes, in fact, it was cancer. And not only was it cancer, but it was already
Stage
advanced to
3.
stage 3. And that, it was very aggressive, and that, I had to immediately, get all these treatments and everything.
And did you have a family history of breast cancer?
Not at all. It was completely unexpected. I felt like I was, a pretty healthy person. I wasn't, crazy, but I felt like I was pretty healthy. I worked out here and there, and I, ate pretty good, although I ate plenty of meat, but I still felt I was healthy, so what? I'm still good. I still
Right.
eat healthy. That, I put a, sprig of, parsley for decoration on my plate. So, that's,
Right.
that's good enough.
Right.
And so, but yes, I was shocked and amazed. So yeah, but I had actually started to wean myself from meat just in general, but I was, my whole life was 100%, I barely ate a
Right.
vegetable.
Yeah. Same. That's just like you telling my same story, And I, like you, I thought I was healthy because I didn't eat pork, and every now and then I would have a smoothie or something, but that's
Yeah, that made it like that. But isn't that funny, the whole pork thing? I think that's so hilarious now because it's like people are so proud of that they don't eat pork. But it's all disgusting. If a pig is disgusting, why is the other thing not disgusting too? How do you pick and choose one thing is better than the other? It's like all the same, but they're proud of that. Ooh, I don't eat pork.
So you get the diagnosis. So the doctors are wanting you to start treatment immediately. What type of treatment did you go through?
Well, what I went through and what they wanted me to go through were two different things. But yeah, the medical industry is very, conventionally very steadfast, hardcore. There's nothing you can do other than come and submit to our treatments. There's nothing else you can do. That's it, nothing else. And they're very adamant about that. And, I just was like, I'm here to tell you a different story. But they wanted me to do 26 rounds of chemo and like a year of radiation and some more stuff. Oh, and then ultimately get the lump removed. And I wanted the lump removed and nothing else. What any of the other, just cut it off. But they kept at me. And then ultimately, when I let my family know, they also, of course, because they love me. And also, the belief system is, what the doctor says is what you do. And everybody knows that this is what you're supposed to do. So what do you mean that you don't want to do it? And you're like, oh my God, and so I folded to the pressure of crying and begging and everything like that to do it. So I ended up doing 3 rounds of chemo. And with the idea being that the lump would shrink so that then it would be more manageable to remove it. And then I was supposed to do all these other things. But after I did the 3 rounds of chemo, interestingly enough, instead of it shrinking, the lump actually grew. And so I was devastated, because not only was I putting all this poison in my body, but now it's not even doing what you said it was going to do. And not only did it not do what you say it was going to do, it did the exact opposite. It was like it was saying, I don't care about your chemo. And it was like, I don't care. Oh, none of that. And so I said at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Because not only that, but I had started to lose my hair. And I, as I guess as a woman, my hair meant everything to me. And I had, a big old huge afro. I love my natural hair. And it's like, it looked like a chicken picked out of it. It was like, it wasn't 100% bald, but it was like a chicken, like, just like bald spots and patches. And it was just horrendous. And I'm going through all this and it's going to get bigger too. So I said, no, I stopped it. And I just had the operation to remove it. And then I took my own path.
And so Kelly, while you were going through that, did any of your doctors say anything to you about diet or changing your diet or anything about nutrition?
No, your diet has nothing to do with it.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it. No, it's meaningless. It's nothing. That's if you want to, but no, they wanted me to eat all I could, eat ice cream, eat all these things because they were worried I would lose, weight and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, they told me, it doesn't matter what I eat, just eat. Just eat. Make sure you're eating, and eat all all you can. It's nothing matters. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
This chemo,
Radiation,
and this radiation, and this operation, and that's what matters.
Right.
Nothing else matters. So, yeah.
And so, but you chose to do something different after you had the surgery to remove the lump or the cancer. You chose to do
Mhm.
something else. What did you do and how did you know to do it? Like,
Yeah, well, I've always had a distrust, I guess, of doctors. So just from my upbringing, I had a beloved aunt, my favorite. I loved her so much, and she went to the hospital to have something checked out. And when the next time I saw her, she couldn't talk anymore. And then the next thing I knew, she
mm,
was dead. And I was like, wow. And then my mother, she had a surgery. She was supposed to be released from the hospital on Saturday, and instead on Thursday, she died. And I have several other stories. So, in my opinion, it was like, the best way to stay healthy is to stay away from doctors. That was it. So, I didn't believe or like or, want them to touch me or
mhm,
do anything. I guess if I had a, broken arm or something,
right.
okay, yes, take care of me. But other than that, so I would never, anything they said or did, I didn't
Mm,
believe it. I was like, no, 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 whatever. You want me to do that? Okay, that must mean I should do
mhm,
something different. So there was that. And then the other thing was also too, I was starting to just learn more things about, I had seen, how things, like it's like seeds are planted over the course of years, and then all of a sudden it kind of comes to pass. And I had seen Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 10 years ago, whenever it first came out. And I was very impressed by it. I was really impressed that, juicing could, could have healed him and also the other people in the documentary. And I thought 60 days, without eating, however, was insane.
right.
And that was something I would
Mm,
never do. However, I thought that was, amazing. And I really believed that. I believed that was possible. So that was like way back in my mind. And so ultimately I ended up starting to, research. And boy, did I research. I have done
mhm,
research. And I ultimately, the biggest thing I discovered was that there were um, thousands of people who have been medically documented to have cured themselves of cancer that I never heard of, and nor has anyone else that I know. For the most part, is it was not, I thought it should be on every TV show or news program, and it was not. And I was shocked to know that was true. And these are not just stories that you hear, but they were documented in medical
mhm,
journals, and to know that these people had done it and that they all had 9 things that they in common had done to heal
mm.
themselves. And that a lot of doctors were saying, oh, don't say that, that they, they're in remission, that kind of thing. But that had the biggest impact on me to know that, wow, if these people
Mm.
could do it, then I absolutely can do it and I will do it. And so what do you think I
You
did?
did what they did.
I did all the things.
What do you remember what all the 9 things were?
I know that the
What are
biggest thing
the
was
top
I
3?
took a couple of them. So the one of the main things that they did, everyone did, was to change their diet. They changed their diet
Mhm,
drastically, and they flooded their bodies with nutrition. And that's was one of the biggest things. Another thing was, taking over control of their health, not letting it go to the doctor. They followed their
mhm,
intuition. They used herbs and supplements. They suppressed emotions. So, for instance, when you have resentment, things that you're holding in, they learned how to get that
and
out.
Kelly, that's a
And
big
then
one
they
too that we don't talk a lot about, those
absolutely,
emotions. Because I ended up going through therapy when I went through my whole cancer experience and didn't realize how much trauma I had suppressed and how it was impacting my
mm,
life and my health. And I think that when we talk about healing, I think part of it, yes, is what we put in our mouths, what we put in our bodies. But some of it has to do what's going on in our heads and in our hearts. And we don't talk about that.
exactly. And I hadn't ever thought of it either.
Mhm,
But then there, like, that's one thing that all of them did. They uncovered the hidden, because everyone has those, like you said, suppressed emotions or traumas or what have you that we, push away or don't, or we think we pushed
mhm,
it away.
right.
But resentment eats away at your system. And I studied like some things by Louise Hay. She says that a lot about,
Mhm.
resentment. So that was one of the things. And then it was another thing was to produce joy in
Yeah.
your life. That was one of the things that they all did. And also moving your body is also very important. And trusting your intuition. That was another thing that was very important, because of my intuition was like, we all have intuition, but we learn how to ignore
Mm.
it over time. and we hear it and then we just ignore it, or we let someone else's thoughts override it. But if you really listen to your intuition, it'll tell you, what you should do. So all those things. So it's a holistic approach, and it is not, as you say, it's not just food, or it's not just juicing, but it is a start. Like I feel like I always call it a gateway drug, like juicing, because it's like something that you can kind of slip under the cracks, slip it in there, and then once people accept that, then you can slide in some other drugs, like like the moving your body and getting the sleep and stuff like that. It's because you do need to completely change everything, but you can't like really start by telling someone necessarily that, well, you have to change everything. But you change this one thing, and then okay, now how about this and how about that? So I really was intrigued by the idea that all these people had done this thing, and that it just made sense to me that if someone's done something that you want to do, why don't you just do what they did?
It worked, right?
Something. Exactly. And I was just impressed with the fact that there were thousands of them. It's not just this person over here or that person over there. Thousands with an S. And so I was like, okay, well then that's all I need to know. That's it. So I went all into all the things, and I kind of made up myself a program and a plan. I also studied Chris work.
Chris
Cancer. I studied him and the foods that he wanted to put together, and again that made sense to me, that if you are trying to beat cancer, why not eat the foods that do that?
right.
Why not do that versus anything else? So to me, it's like it wouldn't make any sense to eat anything else, because first of all, there's so many delicious things that do that, and I have a mission here. I'm trying to accomplish something. So why am I wasting my time, on all these other things that don't, I'm trying to focus on this. So that's how I got into it.
And so, Kelly, so you went cold once you started getting this new information. It was not like a transition period where you just started cutting out like maybe meat and dairy. You just like stopped. And
well, I tell you, I did meat over time. So like prior to any of this diagnosis, I had stopped eating meat maybe for 4 years, but I was eating seafood very heavily. Everything in the sea, I was eating it, and I was eating dairy, but not a lot. But I was eating dairy, absolutely was, because I had to have butter to go with my lobster and crabs and shrimp and stuff like that. So I also was drinking still as well, and I also was smoking weed. However, with the diagnosis at that point, when I did get the diagnosis and I discovered that, cancer loves sugar, and that, smoking and alcohol and all these other things are contributing factors, at that point, then yes, I absolutely was cold turkey, because like, it was like, say less. I didn't have any idea that was the case, but now that I know it and I'm trying to live, then it all, that part was absolutely cold turkey. And then I did cut the seafood as well. And then that's when I'm like, okay, let's put the, back to Joe Cross, let's put the juicing in. And I joined, a juicing group, and started seeing all these people who had healed, like on, shows like this, who had done these juice fasts. And I got to see how 60 days wasn't that extraordinary. I mean, I'd never done it, but plenty of people have done that and way more. And so, okay, let's do that too. Let's do everything. Let's do it. If I'm going to do, they wanted me to do all their stuff. Let me do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I like the way it sounds a lot better. And it's still some work you have to do, obviously, but I preferred to do, which one are you going to choose? So I preferred the work that was going to be here as compared to the work that was going to be there. So they want me to go to radiation every single day for a year. That's a lot. Only like poison myself. I was just insane. So I could every day, I could put some life into myself. I could put some nutrition into myself every day. I mean, which sounds better. Right. So that, for me, that sounded better. For other people, the other one sounds better. But for me, whatever work that was involved, like, oh, that's too much work. Really? Not as much work as going to radiation to me, but
And so the 153 days juice fast. It started out, you were going to do like 60 days was your intention initially?
I think I tended to do no. Interestingly enough, I intentionally wanted to do 120 days. Now that is something that just came to me, like because I had also started meditating, and I was in a group that really promoted
Hmm.
40 days, and I was like, okay, but they don't have what I have. They're different
Right.
than me, right? They have, their skin is
Hmm.
ugly, and so they want to
Right.
fix that, or other things. Which I mean, everybody, whatever matters to you matters to you. But I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not
I'm dealing
that's
with
not my
cancer over
issue.
here. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. So I mean, 40 days doesn't sound like it. And then I had also studied another person who said that you should actually have no days. You should just fast until the end, like until you actually have no more solid matter coming out of
Mhm.
your body. And however long that takes, whether it takes however long for you, whatever. So just go to the end. So I was like, well, that's an interesting concept as well. So I had that, of course, in the back of my mind. So I said, well, I did put 120 days. I'm like, that sounds right. That just
Mhm.
felt right. That was what I felt called to do. But then when I got near 120 days, interestingly enough, I never was like, okay, 10 days to
Mhm.
go, 9
Uh-huh.
days to go. I never felt that
No?
way at all. By the time it was about maybe 15 days or 10 more days to go, I was thinking I should probably do longer. I
Wow.
should probably do longer. Because I hadn't come to the end. Like that, like I said, it was in the back of my head, the skies. And to me, that resonated with me. That made good sense because the whole idea was that our bodies are kind of like, it's kind of like a
Mhm.
cesspool. We don't even know. And that, that's how cancer can grow because it's all this garbage in it, which makes perfect sense. That's how, look at a sewer, it
All
grows all
right.
kinds of horrible things in it because it's disgusting and dirty and filthy. And so same here. You just can't see it. And so let's get it all out. Let's go. What's the point to me? What was the point of doing it and then leaving the stuff in there?
Mm.
Like you come all this way and now, oh, I'm finished
Right.
now. I'm gonna just leave the rest that's in there because it's day XYZ that I said, to me that seems silly. So I was still seeing, which again was shocking because you would think that we think that once we eat this thing today and we have, a bowel movement, that's the thing we
Mhm.
ate today. When in fact,
Mhm.
not at all. I hadn't eaten in 120 days, or I was 115 or something at that point,
Mhm.
and I still was having some solid waste coming out of me. So
Mhm.
that was telling me that, wow, because I've been here for 60 years eating a
Right.
bunch of garbage. So
Mhm.
what makes you think that only a little hundred? Because when you compare 60 years to
Right.
100 and a couple of that's nothing in the scheme of things. So I had a 60 years worth of crap in me that really wasn't out when we always think it is. And so I wanted it
Mhm.
out. So I was
Mhm.
like, it's not out. What was the point of, doing 120 days just to say that I did it? No, it's to clean myself out. That's the point.
Right.
Because again, this cancer they drilled into my skull how aggressive it was, how much it returns, how much it recurs all the time. And that if I didn't do these things, it was going to come back. And I was like, oh no, it's not coming back, but it's not going to be because of the things that you're telling me to do, but it's because of the things that I'm doing. Because again, in my mind, if I'm leaving the trash there or leaving the garbage there, or another example I had gotten from somewhere was mold. If you leave the same conditions there, where it's dark, it's wet, and then you know, think it's going to be different. I mean, of course it's going to come back. And because what most people do when they have their chemo and their radiation and everything like that, they're like, oh, I did that. And they're still, stopping off at the Big Mac or,
Right.
and eating everything that they ate anyway. So it's like you clean, you're getting this done, but then you're doing the same thing that you did to help contribute to it, which makes
Mhm.
no sense. So of course it comes back because you're doing
Yeah.
exactly the same things you did before to make it come back, or you're still holding the same resentments that you did before because of course
Mhm.
you don't have to do anything other than show up to the treatment center. And then once you do that, then your job is done. And
Yeah.
so of course it comes back. So I'm like, no, I'm going to clean it all out. I'm going to put light on there, dry it out, just everything so that it can't come back because my body will be inhospitable to
Mhm.
cancer because cancer, it likes certain living conditions, right? just like rats, they like certain living conditions. If it's not hospitable to that, they're going to go away because we don't like it here because you're not giving me what I want. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to make it, inhospitable. So I continued longer. So I ended up to do 153 days. And I really felt at that point, felt that I could have honestly continued juicing forever and never stopped because I was just in the routine of it. I knew what I was doing. I enjoyed it. I knew how much to drink when I was going to get hungry. And then.
And how did you feel? How did you feel during that time?
I felt wonderful. Which is why I'm going to do it again. I feel like I'm going to always do it. It's a feeling like I've never described. And interestingly enough, I'd never done a juice fast for even one day before in my life. I went from 0 to all the way there, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend to anyone, but that's what I did. But I felt so light. That's the feeling I felt was the lightness, the not feeling heavy. I felt like my feet weren't even touching the ground a lot of the times. And I just felt so at peace and able to hear my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And just calm. And it was just a wonderful experience. But I stopped because it was about to be June and all the summer fruits that come out. I wanted to be, fruit-based. And I couldn't imagine missing watermelon season and, the peaches and everything that I love. And then there was all these other fruits I wanted to try that I hadn't been exposed to in the past, I'd never heard of before. And I was like, well, I want to do it. So, but then ultimately I also felt like I've gotten everything out as well. So I'm like, okay, let's go. We'll just, we'll pick it up later, but now I'm clean. So, but that was the reason I ended up extending it.
Yeah. When the longest juice fast I've ever done was 67 days. And I didn't know you could feel that way. I didn't know you could feel that way, Kelly. I was like, wait a minute. I had so much energy. I had so much mental clarity. I just felt like you feel elevated. You feel elevated.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And for me, it became really almost addictive because I was like, okay, I didn't want to lose that feeling, but I was ready to eat food, but I really didn't want to lose that feeling because it felt so amazing,
It really does. It really does.
Yeah.
And it's just I learned that how much we don't need as much food as we think. Yeah, we don't need as much food as we think. Yeah. First of all, I thought you couldn't even live without it that long. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't need to eat as much. We still need nutrition. That's the difference. Our body doesn't want the Big Mac. It wants the nutrition. It wants that's what it's looking for. So that's why people overeat a lot, which is something I didn't know either. It's because it's like you're full, physically full, but your body is still looking for the nutrition. It's like, that was nice, but where's the magnesium? Where's the potassium? Where's the
iron, the zinc?
want?
Yeah.
So eat some more stuff. And so then you eat some more stuff, but it's like you're still not eating exactly what it wants. So then you eat some more stuff. And that's why we overeat. And we keep, people eat from the minute they open their eyes until the time they close their eyes all day long. And then we wonder why we are, overweight or, sick but you got to eat because you got to eat. But no, you really don't. You really don't.
So Kelly, how did your family and friends react to your decision first to not to continue down the path that the doctors wanted and to start juicing? How did they react?
Well, interestingly enough, my family knows me that I'm very, strong-willed, and there's no, you can't really talk me out of something if I made my decision. So they were cautiously supportive, I would say. Yeah, I think they would have preferred, I did it, except for my son. He's like, yeah, you did. Probably because I've brainwashed him throughout his life. So he's like, you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. No, I don't want to do that. But everyone else was like, well, we're going to support you. And, but you know how it's like.
Right. Yeah.
I wish you would do it, in other words, but okay, because I know I'm not going to be able to talk you out of it. So, all right, no point in arguing with you. But overall, they were, they wanted me to do what I wanted to do to make me happy. But they were still, I'm quite sure in their minds were like, yeah, but, I wish they wouldn't. But yeah, we're all good now. Yeah, they, you know, like I said, they still supported me the way I needed to, you know, verbally enough, and I just let it be like that. I didn't say, well, I know you don't really necessarily
Right.
need it, but I took it like, okay, yes, you'll support me. You'll let me, whatever I decide, you'll back me
Yeah.
up. Cool. Let's, you know,
Yeah.
I'll take that. And so that was that was basically the attitude. But this, you know, it's not their
Right.
fault. It's not anyone's fault, right? Because back to
Right.
being
That's the
brainwashed,
way we're programmed.
I just so happened to brainwash my
Mhm.
son to think differently. Like he's like, you know, well, you know, we don't get sick or whatever, that
Yeah.
kind of attitude. But because I kind of indoctrinated that, but we've been
A
indoctrinated
different way.
just the
Exactly.
opposite.
Yeah. And so now, like after the fast, what kind of things did you eat after you ended the fast, and what types of things do you eat now?
Yeah, so after the fast, I was strictly 100%
Oh, fruitarian. Okay.
fruitarian. Like, yeah, I still did. So what I did was and I still do, but with a little, I've had a kind of a switch. So let me just say, I was drinking, I like the idea of drinking my vegetables, but eating my fruit. And so by drinking my vegetables, that was my favorite juice was lemon ginger blast, which I got from Lou Corona. And that's a juice that has like, well, the way I've fixed it up, it has 13 different ingredients. And most of them, maybe 10 of them are green, different green vegetables. And so huge amounts of vegetables. But then I have apple and lemon and ginger and turmeric. But other than that, they're all green vegetables. So I'm not like that keen on vegetables, eating them per se. And I really am drawn to the raw living lifestyle. You know, it really makes sense to me to eat foods that
Yeah.
are living if I want to living versus putting dead foods into me. So I resonate with that completely. So, but then the idea of like salads and stuff like that. I mean, I eat salads here and there, but I don't love them. So I knew that I wouldn't eat enough of that because I still need that nutrition in my opinion. So I'm like, perfect, drinking it. You know, I the 32 ounces of lemon ginger blast. I do that, you know, one a day, every day. When I was doing the juice fast, I did probably 4 or 5 or 6 of them all day long. And so in my mind, if I'm flooding my body with all that nutrition, then I'm good. I don't have to eat it. I don't have to eat it. I have to just get it in. So I would eat fruit. That's what I want to eat. I didn't necessarily want to drink the fruit. I don't want to drink it. I feel like I was wasting. I wanted to eat and chew, you know, the watermelon versus drinking it. Although I did drink watermelon juice, but I didn't prefer that. I wanted to just eat it up, or I wanted to bite into a peach. You know, I wanted to eat the pineapple versus juicing it. So, like, why are you wasting this good fruit? You know, to me. Well, you know, juice those vegetables, juice that crap. But it turns out that I love the taste of that combination of juices. It's like the most delicious thing I've ever had in my entire life to me. I could eat it, drink it forever. And I did, like I said, I could have drank that forever, but I wanted to eat some watermelon. You know, I wanted to eat some cherries and I wanted to eat some grapes. You know, I just wanted all the fruits. I wanted to eat them. So I'm like, okay, I've got to stop this fast. So that's why I started in January. There's nothing good to eat, you know, as far as so let's go with the vegetables. So, but after the fast, I started incorporating a lot of nuts. I incorporated cashews and almonds and pistachios, and that was to my detriment. It turns out that I liked them too much.
That's me, Kelly. I was just telling Karen that I love cashews and I could just eat them. And I'm not.
They were raw cashews. I eat them. Yes, at a time. And I ended up gaining weight, and I was like, oh, this is not
right
here. So even though it's raw, even though it's still, you know,
they're calorie
so
dense.
I have
a lot of calories in those nuts.
Calorie dense. So I have to, and also I have like, I guess a kind of an addictive personality. So, and I would be like, you know, I want some cashews. And I would, even though I wouldn't go get the other stuff, I would get up and go get some cashews, even if it wasn't convenient. If, you know, it's just like, I'm going to get these cashews like a drug addict. And I'm like, you know, I didn't like that, you know, how it was kind of having that control over me. And I felt like that would be one next step for me to fall into my other druggy habits, which would be, you know, that shrimp salad sandwich that I love. So I'm like, no, I got to cut this out. So that's another thing about, again, like starting over again. December 29th started my juice fast. Right? So that's where the 90 days is coming in for that. And again, like I said, I probably will longer, but this time I'm taking some
Oh,
people with
nice.
me. I have a Facebook
Oh,
group now.
and what's the
And
name of
I
your
have
Facebook group in case people want to join?
the group is called, it's called Heal by Juicing, Juice Powered Wellness for Women Over 40. And it is a really, I love the group. It's a group of women who are, working together to have the same common goal, right? We cheer each other on. And it's a really fun space where people, a lady the other day just texted me, I found my tribe. I'm so comfortable here. I found my home. I love being here. And that's the environment that, I wanted to establish. And so, yeah, I've done that. I started a
What's your YouTube channel? So people
Heal by Juicing as well. And it's just a few little videos I've gotten started, but I have always wanted to do it. Maybe not always, but always when I started to see other people doing it. And I was always intimidated, by doing it, feeling like, I'm not, fancy like all the other people, my, groovy editing, groovy cameras, all this other stuff. And that I was, ultimately coached that, again, my voice is good enough. And that, there are people who are going to be attracted to me, to what I have to say, no matter what, it looks like, as long as you can see me, as long as you can hear me. That is also, I really felt like this message needed to get out, because just like I didn't know that people could actually, I felt like, I heard people could heal themselves, or that some people heal themselves, but I always thought it was just anecdotal information, just, here and there, but for the vast majority of people that doesn't exist. But every now and then I had no clue that there were thousands of people with an S that have done it, and that's an option. And I think that there are people who are, no matter what you say, they're going to do the conventional route. But there are other people who would love another way.
If just they knew.
They would love another way if they only knew. And so I'm here to tell you, I stop by to tell you that there is another way. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go that way. You can do another way, and you decide whatever you want to do, but you don't have to. Don't feel like you must do this, because you can do it a different way. So that's where I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I have the best editing or the spiciest whatever else. Let me just tell you this, and the people who are meant to hear it will hear it. What do you say? My sheep know my voice, whatever it is. So, know my voice. If I'm going to resonate with some people, other people won't like me, that's great. The people who like me are the ones who will be drawn to me, and those are the people that I can help, and that's what I want to do.
And how can people find you on Instagram? Because you're on Instagram too, right?
I am. Instagram is like my weakest one, because for whatever reason, my son will say because I'm old. But I'm like, okay, whatever. But I am, that's like the last one that I did. But I think it's Kelly Rochelle 63, I believe. And I just started at 63, just to have some sort of presence. So I'm trying to beef it up a little bit. But that's my weakest one. You'll find a few little things on there, but you won't see.
But Facebook is like your sweet spot.
Facebook is my favorite. I love Facebook so much. I do.
So Kelly, before we let you go, what advice would you give to someone that is facing a health crisis right now and just wanting some other options? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would definitely give them the option of, look elsewhere. I would definitely give them the choice to do a juice fast. I would really recommend a juice fast. I really would. You obviously don't have to do it as long as I did it by any stretch of the imagination. But if you are thinking about doing a juice fast, I would give some advice to make sure that you do have a successful experience. The first thing I would do is get clear on your why. You really need to define your goals, and, whether you're trying to just lose weight or detox, or you have something more serious that you're looking to address, knowing your purpose of why you're doing it is what's going to really keep you motivated. And then I would, say, start with a plan. don't just dive in unprepared. Research some juice recipes, create a schedule, stock up on produce as much as you can and decide how long you want to do it for. As a beginner, maybe 3 to 5 days. But if you're more experienced, you might want to do a longer one. Like, again, as I said, I jumped right in. I didn't start with, 2 days or 3 days. I went right into that. But, I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. But if you feel called to do so, which is what I was called to do it, then by all means. Another thing is I would ease into it. I would, say you would gradually eliminate processed foods from your diet. I wouldn't, go from, Big Macs and, fries and shakes, and then the next day do the juice fast. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely eliminate processed foods, caffeine, alcohol, heavy meals, at least a week or 2 weeks. I would really recommend 2 weeks prior to doing the juice fast, because that will help you with withdrawal, detox. Yeah. It makes the transition much easier. That's something I did, actually. I didn't have any detox symptoms at all, none. And I transitioned for about 2 weeks from the processed foods and all those things. And then I would say to, stay hydrated, make sure you're drinking plenty of juice as well as water to be sure that you're supporting your detoxification to be able to really flush the things out of your system. And I would really choose to have the cold pressed juices. That's the best quality, I would say. And I would prioritize vegetables over fruit. That's what I would recommend, to just be sure that you're really getting enough nutrition. That's when most people are like weak and they stop because they don't feel well. But listen to your body, and you're going to feel some detox symptoms. Most people do anyway. But it's really mostly because you haven't been drinking enough. I find if you drink more juice, if you do that, that will help. And if you feel weak, to do that, but to also have a support system, join a group or hire a coach, for motivation, guidance, and accountability. Having somebody to share it with, that experience makes it a lot easier. And I would be prepared for cravings. You probably will have cravings, but you do need to have some tools in your toolbox to get through it. And I've got a tool that I'm going to leave for your audience. It's free tool to have cravings. But focus on your mindset as well. It's really an opportunity to reset your habits versus, doing it as a quick fix, to really connect with your body. And then, of course, planning the transition, from ending the fast, the same way you plan to start it, you should plan to end it properly, so that you're reintroducing solid foods gradually. You're not like, stuff in your mouth. I would break it with juicy fruits and let that be a while before you overwhelm your digestive system. People could get sick, if they just do too much at one time. So it's basically the advice I would give if you wanted to start a juice fast. If you wanted to start healthy, start with that for whatever length of time you feel like, to get a reset, because it also resets your taste buds. Because a lot of foods that I didn't think that I liked, for instance, I didn't think I liked celery. Well, I didn't like celery. I thought celery was, hot. That's like, and I love it. I love the taste of celery. It's like so many things that I love the taste of, parsley, cilantro, all those things, ginger, I think are so delicious, but I didn't like them before. And it's just because, again, it's a process and conditioning of your taste buds. When you clean it out, then it really can taste what you really want. And now those other things are of no interest to me. I don't even like the smell of, I can smell the smell of fried chicken. It smells disgusting to me. It smells like, I can smell the rancid grease. I can smell that it's old. It smells horrible. When I used to smell the delicious, so, and I can smell, just things are different. Just the things that I used to love. It can change, and it can change for you naturally. You don't have to, white knuckle it and like, I got to push myself to do this. It's like, no force to do it. I love to do it. I can't wait to do it. And that's just such a much better and easier way, to live than, having to feel like you got to force yourself and you have to be like, oh my God,
deny yourself.
Eat this other thing again? When can I eat this thing? But it changes. And just one thing I would like to say too is that something that I don't know where I pick up a lot of stuff. I pick them up from. I wish I could sometimes give credit, but I don't know who mentioned this to me, but it was something that really blew my mind. And it was about eating meat and how, don't you miss eating meat. Like, how do you go, I can't go to cookouts or this kind of thing, which is I go to all those things, but people will say that I can't, go to restaurants or go to cookouts or do all these things because I can't, I smell the food and I can't stay away from it kind of thing. And here's something that helped me with that. And before it became now completely effortless, but it was the idea like, okay, think about a barbecue grill, right? And the grill is going and it has these smells smelling good, right? And people are eating it. Now, suppose they were cooking grilled rat on the grill, right? But it smells good, Harold. It smells so delicious. You smell how it smells? And, when you put barbecue sauce on it and all these seasons, rat tastes delicious. It's really good. It is so good. Don't you want some? No, you don't want any. Because you don't care how good it smells. You don't care how good it tastes. It's just not what you want. It's not for you. And so are you tempted when people are sitting next to you eating rat? Do you like, oh, I wish I could have some of that rat? No, I'm just thinking, okay, that's what you want to do. But I absolutely don't want to put that in my body. So that helped a lot because I'm like, I'm not tempted by that. I don't care how good it smells. I don't care how good it smells. Yes, it smells good. And probably tastes good too. I'm not eating it because it doesn't taste good. I'm not eating it for that. I mean, it tastes good, but guess what else tastes good? Being healthy, being 64, and I take absolutely no medications of any kind. I don't have any pains. My knees don't hurt. My back don't hurt. My shoulders don't hurt. I don't have arthritis. I just walked up and down 14 flights of steps this morning, and I'm 64. That's unheard of. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I don't take no medications for anything. Cholesterol. That tastes way better to me, than that. And I'm trying to live. I'm trying to be, not hobbling around like an old lady in a wheelchair, hoping somebody comes to visit me in a nursing home. I want to be, like Ernestine Shepherd, the lady who's 84, 88 now, I guess, lifting weights. She's got a six-pack. I don't even have a six-pack. And, that's what I'm looking for. And again, we don't know that that's possible because why? We look around and everybody who eats the way that we eat, everybody's hobbling around in the wheelchair. And everybody, you're just old. That's just old age. That's just normal. Accept it. But guess what? It don't have to be normal. That's another thing. It doesn't have to be normal. You don't have to live like that. Unless you want to, but you have a choice, and the choice is available.
That's it, Kelly.
So that's why I wanted to let people know that you can choose differently. You don't have to just be like, oh well, that's just it. I'm this age, and that's just how it is.
And what I found, Kelly, nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
That's how it feels.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing. So Kelly, what? Your journey is just inspiring. It is so motivating just to see someone like you. You're 64 now, cancer survivor and thriver, on no medications at all. And you're just a wonderful living example of what's possible when you treat your body right. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I know so many people are going to get encouraged by your story, and they're going to want to get in contact with you. And them Instagram numbers getting ready to go up, Kelly. So get ready.
Okay.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
I thank you too. And again, I do want to leave you. I'm going to leave a link for you to get this resource that I have, because it's actually really, really good for cravings. It helps people to go with your cravings. It's called the Cravings Crusher Swipe File. And it's got a whole bunch of things. It's something I'm really, really proud of. I put it together to, be sure that people, can get over their cravings, right? Because pretty much that's always what it is that, makes you lose your momentum when you're trying to stay consistent with any health journey, especially a juice fast. But if I told you that I've done all the work for you, and that, because I put together, ultimate file that is packed with strategies that will, crush your cravings before they can, derail your progress.
I like that.
And, inside it has quick fixes. It has questions that can help you shift your focus, and even a cravings tracker, which, is a handy tool that, spots your patterns, identifies your triggers, and it helps you to build winning strategies to stay on track. It's my secret weapon, actually, to stay strong on a
Well, how
juice
can they
fast.
get it?
It's free.
Oh,
That's the
wow.
best part. And how you get it, I'm going to leave a link
We'll put it in the
with
bio.
you so
Yeah.
that your viewers can
Yeah.
grab it. And that way they can go ahead and not be bothered by the
Awesome.
cravings, to be able to, last overall. So I'll give you the link.
Awesome.
to
We'll
put
link
in
it.
somewhere.
We'll link it
Let
in
me
the
know.
video. Wow. Thank you so much for that. Because I know that's a big thing for folks, cravings, when they're trying to change, their eating habits. So yeah. So that's
Exactly. They're not looking at it as rats yet.
Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you again for just sharing your powerful story. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you.